Good afternoon, folks. What's going on there? It is the Earthmaster here on this Thursday, June 9th, 2022 date, about 12:23 p.m. California time. Latest quake shows a 1.1 earthquake into the area of California. Just had a 4.5 earthquake down here off the coast of Baja California as well, just coming in within the last 40 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here happening around the map on the USGS scale, which surprisingly I'm not seeing that four-pointer that kicked up off the coast here from the USGS. I shouldn't really say surprisingly, but definitely pulling up on the EMSC model. Let me bring that over real quick, show you guys the activity here just off the coast, 4.5 off the coast of Baja California. Looks as though this is about 40 minutes or so ago. Pretty shallow depth there at about 10 kilometers. Looks like the source parameter has been provided by a German agency, so not 100% certain on if this is even a legit earthquake or not. So we'll see if the USGS catches up on it. Either way, definitely a little bit of uptick in activity over here around the China region, where we've seen within the last hour or two some activity really ramping up out here around the central China area. 5.6 and a 5.9 earthquake happening within about an hour of each other. This area does see quite a bit of large earthquake activity and just earthquake activity in general. Looking at the map here, just to the southeast and much further down south, we get into the plate boundaries. But this area is definitely known for popping up some rather large quakes. Looks like possibly 6.0s and above within the vicinity of where the epicenter struck today. Looking further west, not a whole lot going on throughout the Middle East. Mediterranean Sea region. Italy actually had a 4.3. That was much earlier this morning. Not a whole lot going on through the Mediterranean Sea down here or off the coast of Morocco. Normally we see a little bit of swarming going on here, but nothing popping up in the 4.0 map and above. I'm sure the EMSC model might be showing a little bit more activity around this region of the world. I'll go ahead and check it out here. Looks like, yeah, a little bit of small microquake activity aside from that four-pointer that I showed you on the USGS map there in Italy. Aside from that, no major movement going on yet in that region of the world. The Atlantic Ocean looks pretty calm, at least in terms of earthquake activity. And looking at the Puerto Rico Trench here, we did see some movement kicking up here north of the trench area itself last night. So far we've seen a little bit of further activity above the 2.5 threshold around the Puerto Rico area, but specifically up here where I was kind of watching the swarming, we haven't seen any further subsequent activity, but still watching that area pretty closely. That region's very capable of producing a pretty sizable quake. South America, one earthquake down here on the Chile coast, 4.8 at 67 kilometers down into the Peru-Chile trench. Also here around the Middle America Trench, looks like low activity around the Nicaragua area. A couple of fours throughout the Middle America Trench area. Let's see what we got going on up here in the western coast of the states. We'll start down here in Southern California. Still seeing some activity between these couple segments here of the San Jacinto fault zone. Looking at nothing above 2.5. It's all within the microquake range, but still seeing a little bit of swarming activity there around the San Jacinto Mountains on the looks like the Hot Springs Fault, still a section or a segment of the San Jacinto Fault Zone. Nothing going on around the Salton Sea area currently. And a little bit further up north, just got a little activity around the this area right here. This seen a little bit of movement yesterday, including a 3.6 and a 3.2. Since then, it looks like we had a couple small microquakes overnight, but nothing within the last hour. of that part of California. Ridgecrest area, a little spotty movement today. Not a whole lot going on throughout the eastern portion of the Sierra Nevada. Around the San Andreas Fault, Diablo Range, a couple small microquakes just on there, and also one within the last hour. Looks like it's around Gonzales, California. 1.1, again off of the San Andreas Fault system here to the west by about 10 miles. Northern California, one earthquake up here. Looks like just south of the Mount Lassen area, 1.6 near Chester at 8.8 kilometers. We did have some movement off the coast last night of Oregon into the, looks like the southern end of the Blanco fracture zone, and right at the northern, kind of the northern plate here, or northern section of the Gorda plate. Although that earthquake pretty shallow, about 10 kilometers. Looking up through the Pacific Northwest, a couple spotty earthquakes there, and throughout the Montana area as well, and down into Wyoming. Eastern part of the country, aside from Texas out there, continuing their earthquake activity, there's not a whole lot going on. One earthquake outside the New Madrid zone here. Looks like a 1.8. That one was from last night. The rest of the country looks pretty quiet. We are noticing some movement up here in Alaska currently, with an earthquake within the last hour of 4.2. About 112 kilometers southeast of the Sandpoint, Alaska area, along the Aleutian Trench. And Hawaii, not showing too much activity currently. Did have a 2.9 come in here around the Kilauea volcano last night. It got dramatically downgraded to a 2.0, and we've seen that earthquake come up on the live seismographs, followed up by some odd earthquake activity, almost rapid earthquakes about every 2 minutes or so. I don't believe there's been any changes to the Kilauea volcano, but I will check that out through the HVO. This put out today, it looks like. Looks like the summit eruption continued over the last 24 hours. All recent lava activity has been confined to the crater. Doesn't look like there's anything different here. Looks like tiltmeters recorded deflation over the past 24 hours. A sulfur dioxide emission rate of approximately 1900 per day. It was, let's see here. No unusual activity around the East Rift Zone. Looks like steady rates of ground deformation and seismicity continue along both. So yeah, no major adjustments yet, but that two-pointer that struck was way down there. But it's just right outside of the Kilauea volcano. That one's striking at about 40 kilometers down, way down there below the surface. So sometimes these deep earthquakes can really trigger some abnormal activity or increased activity at the volcanoes here, but it doesn't look like anything's been affected yet from that movement last night. Yellowstone National Park has been pretty quiet. Not seeing a whole lot of swarming activity yet, or today. Eventually it will come, right? These swarms kind of come and go when they want, but today looks pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on. Tremor map from last night showed about 12 epicenters in the Oregon area. Aside from that, wasn't a whole lot going on there. Checking out the Mount St. Helens regional earthquake map here. Still only one earthquake. Actually, it looks like 2 earthquakes reported from yesterday. But we'll look at the recorded data and decide that ourselves, because we know there's, look at that there. Well, there's a couple this morning as well. See these earthquakes, but that's about it. No major swarming to take note of. Just a pair of or a handful of small microquakes today. So, all right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Keep this a little bit short. Again, there's not a whole lot going on either in the solar weather department. We'll run through that real quick here. Looks like there's a little bit, maybe, I'm not for sure where that's coming from, maybe from the far side, a little bit of elevated solar X-ray events here, kind of kicking up into the C category. But other than that, there's no major events going on here. And the sunspot activity currently Got one kind of facing the Earth right now, but it doesn't look super dynamic in producing anything spectacular. Maybe a couple other developments around the bend, but still pretty calm at the moment. Only a 15% chance of a C flare. All other events down below the 1% possibility. So things are just kind of at the standstill at the moment, folks. Kind of calm. So, all right, guys, we're going to bounce out of here. Have a good day. We will be back a little bit later tonight. Got a bunch of stuff going on here today, so we'll chat you guys a little bit later on. Stay safe.